Good morning. Happy Sacred Sunday. And I'm waiting for my computer. It's taking its time. Okay. Why don't you want to come on? This is every talk speaker's, nightmare, is that the thing that they bring that stores their talk does not happen. So we'll just move it over here and we'll see if we can get it. And if not, honey, can you come fix this for me? I know the battery's good. It's not coming on. Can you come see? Maybe. Well, it's not. I don't know. If the plug's in the backpack, you might have to, I don't know. All right. I was just sitting there looking at my computer going, I should have seen if that turned on before. It's not coming on, is it? Okay, he's going to fix it. He fixes everything. Good morning. We're going to wing it until then. We do want to honor our vets, and I had a beautiful reading on my computer. But that's okay. Spirit's like, you got to wing it, so I guess I'm learning to wing it. But I really do want to honor all of our vets. I watched a video yesterday on 60 Minutes of a young man who lost his friend, and he was so filled with shame and guilt about so many things. And his friend had died, and he had seen him die. It was very difficult for him to talk about. And he was living in a storage shed because he just had given up. And one of the things that I wept for him, my father, my brother, my nephew, my husband, all served so graciously in our military. And I want to honor you. I want to tell you that there's a very spiritual principle about duty, and I had a reading from the Bhagavad Gita about principle and duty, and that it is the highest honor to serve your country, to do your duty, to live with integrity, and to protect the innocent. So we here today honor you, we applaud you, and we celebrate that highest spiritual principle with you. So if you or any of your loved ones, well, let's start with you. If anyone's a retired vet or active duty, can you please stand so we can... And my husband who's fixing my... I think there's... Oh, is it dead? Okay, well, I guess I didn't check the battery. So family members, dependents, spouses, me, anybody please stand up so we can honor you. Because, look, please, we bow to you, please. Yes, thank you. It's a hard, Bill went to Saudi, and when the war came for Kuwait, it seems like many years ago, and I had 3 children under 3. They were like triplets, let's put it that way. And Shauna, my daughter, was 3 months old, and he went, and I did not know what I was going to do. It is the hardest job to hold your family together while your spouse is living the highest principle. So we honor everything that it takes to protect our country and to protect those of others. Thank you, honey. Yay! Uh-oh. Here we go. Let's plug it in before it dies again. Okay, oh, that's heavy. Hang on. Okay, well, this is how we learn to wing it, right? Okay. Where did it go, babe? Yeah, I do know how to do this. I type on it every day. Okay, here we go. It's just that it is... okay, we'll just have to make it work. Okay, here we go. So I won't wander too far away from the podium, and it'll give Bob a break. I gave him a run for his money last week. Thank you, Bob. All right, and Word, we're going to open it. I'm going to give you a play-by-play. Oh, I just see a beautiful baby. I don't know, I give up. Okay, here we go. It's loading. All right, I don't really give up. So, good morning. Thank you for your patience with me. And, part of being humble is being authentic and knowing that things go wrong, and they're going to go wrong, and it's always okay. But today we're going to talk about lilies in the field. And you can throw that other slide up if you'd like. We're all familiar with this quote, and I wanted to take this quote and turn it into more science of mind conversation. And because I still don't have my paper, which oh, yay. Okay, here we go. I don't have to read it to you, guys can read, but the quote for this, it really stands out to me, and I reference it a lot, and I referenced this week in leadership talks with your beautiful leadership team because it stands for faith to me. It stands for faith and splendor. It stands for spiritual wisdom, and I always think to myself when I am scurried about, hurried, things don't work, why toil, why worry, why go into the mind when that which is in you is always sustaining you. That's what this quote stands for me. And I wanted to share with you a little bit about that today. But first, since I got my computer open, I'm going to read you my joke. All right. We want so serious because last week we talked about the mundane sigh, and Spirit had a great message, and I think it wore me out. I slept all the way home, but I'm sure Bob did too. But here, let's start with some humor. So, why did the pastor bring a pencil to the sermon? In case he needed to draw his people closer to faith. All right, you can blame AI on that one. I looked it up. All right, so in the vast tapestry of spiritual wisdom, the science of mind philosophy weaves a profound understanding of the sacredness embedded in everyday facet of existence. We explore the inherent wisdom within each element, unveiling the keys to move a more profound connection with the divine flow and the sacredness of our everyday existence. And so today you'll see me read a little bit more because I want to stay grounded, and it was a great message that Spirit kind of put on my heart, and I really want to make sure that I cover those points in Hazel's allotted time so I don't get in trouble. Kidding. She's so wonderful. She makes everything work here. But I wanted to understand this from a science of mind perspective, and I wanted to be able to relate it to you in a science of mind perspective. So what I wanted to do was look at love, faith, and beauty, and in terms of this quote, and correlate it to science of mind with the contrast of what keeps us living that sacredness in our everyday mundane life. But the science of mind perspective, love is seen as the fundamental creative force in the universe, effortlessly expressing itself through all of creation. The passage illustrates that much like the flowers that grow without worry, love flows naturally, and when we allow it to unfold without resistance, miracles happen. On the contrast to this, worldly thinking often conditions us to attach love to an external condition, leading to conditional love. This attachment can be burdensome, causing stress and inhibiting the pure, unconditional love that is inherent in our spiritual nature. So science of mind teaches us that love flows naturally because that's who we are. That's our natural state. And when the mind kicks in, the contrast is worldly thinking. And the key there is the word thinking. When we start to see that our thinking, not necessarily our thoughts, because thoughts come and go. Thoughts are experiences that we've had. You're driving along and that thought pops up into your mind of like what you did yesterday or what you said yesterday. Ooh, is that person still mad at me? But thinking is the thing that we believe about that thing that happened, and that's the only truth, and that there's no alternate perception of that, like the other person that you may have been talking to, or whatever happened in your life. When we start to think about it, we form our own point of view, and it's a one point of view, and then love kind of gets edged out, because this is where we get into a little resistance, and this is where we stand on our point of view, and we want it our way, and there's no opening for you to have dialogue and to release this tension that happens in our body when things don't go our way. We want to be big picture thinkers. Science of Mind teaches us to be big picture thinkers, to think of the world and to think of outside yourself, past yourself, and to invite love to flow naturally. We have to recognize the conditions, our belief systems. If there's ever any tension or resistance, it is because there is an underlying belief that is, I like to say stuck, but it's in there. We reference our body, when we're talking about in there, because we feel everything in here in our body. But it could be a belief that you're aware of. Most likely, it is one that you're not aware of, and that love is fierce as well. Love also will show you where you are stuck. So although we might not be, I want to use, because this is normally what happens, right? We're in conversation with somebody, maybe we're having a disagreement. We talked a little bit about this last week, and then that resistance comes up and we go out when really love says go in. This is what we were talking about, to free us, to look at the Science of Mind perspective of the lilies in the field. I had a teacher once. I've had a lot of teachers. His name was Tracey. He's no longer on the scene. He was a very good friend of mine. And in the beginning of his book, he said, someone asked him, "Are you afraid?" And he said, "Why would I ever be afraid when I know who I am? When I know my truth, when I know that God is and I am," as the beautiful song said today, he goes, you know that there's no thing to worry about. You do not have to toil. You do not have to toil. When you go within, it might take a second or two because we've built this habit of going out. And it is a new habit to come in, to sit, to stop thinking and start asking, who am I and what does this moment need? And sometimes the moment in authenticity might need a little arousal. It might be a brisk, dynamic conversation. We can't be afraid of those. But at the end of the day, it's an honoring. Love is an honoring between two people or the situation that is occurring. Faith and divine harmony. Science of Mind says faith is grounded in the belief that there is an underlying harmony to the universe. Trusting in the divine order allows us to release worries and doubt, as beautifully demonstrated by the flowers growing without labor. They do not toil. And I know, well, you know what popped into my mind when I was reading this? But God, I'm not a flower. So we think, well, that's great because the nature comes. But the point of it is the beauty and the splendor and the stillness and how they move with the wind when the wind blows, and how there's just this serenity that overtakes you when you're looking at it. I love this picture. I don't know about you, but as soon as I looked at it, it stilled my mind. And that's the whole point of this quote, is to find the stillness. The stillness, our true and highest self, it doesn't have words. It only knows the direction in which you give it. And what direction you give it is what you're focused on. And if you're focused on the negative, then chances are that's what you're going to pull to yourself, things that feel more negative. So the whole thing about mental equivalence is to focus on the thing that you want and to vision how it's going to be and to have a positive mental attitude. And this draws unto you that which you desire, whether it be, well, you're already peace. You can't draw peace unto you because just like the lilies, right? They know. I like to say they know this, but again, they're flowers, right? But there is an inherent nature in them, and we draw the analogy from this to just be still and know. This is my favorite thing. Be still and know. The contrast of faith in divine harmony and the Science of Mind perspective is worldly thinking may instill doubts and fears, perpetuating a sense of separation and disconnection from the divine flow. This attachment to doubts can hinder the experience of a harmonious and faith-filled life. So when we have these disagreements or life happens or things get crazy, and it does, and some things are much more painful, the world is kind of going through a lot of changes. I truly believe a new world is birthing for us and letting go of old ideas. Okay, so take this down to the individual level. And then we can take it up to the macro, right? You as a person are sitting here having a great desire to have a connection to God and to know that sacred life in everything that you do. And if you take that out, and now the planet, right? So you're one person, it's resonating out, everybody's feeling this. And as a whole planet, we are letting things go. So if it is difficult for us to do this, it is going to be quite a process for the world to do it and to let go of things. Sometimes, as we all know, it can really be hard. But like the lilies in the field, right, we can stand fast in that faith that Ernest Holmes talks about. We can stand fast in the knowingness that it is your life. You get to control your mental attitude. You get to point your focus, and you get to ask the questions, who am I? What do I want? Where am I going? And how will I know? How will you know when you've arrived for whatever it is you're seeking? How will you know? Because in my experience, I have sought and sought and sought, and I get to a place I'm like, oh, and then something happens and I'm seeking and I'm seeking and I'm seeking because I have an attitude of seeking, and my attention is always on seeking and never knowing what's going to be drawn to me is more seeking, right? So what I'm saying is the world is changing to a beautiful place where we can directly experience an intuit spirit through our own heart so that we grow confidence in ourselves. No more going out to look for other people for approval. You get it right here within inside of you. There is a seed planted in you, a karmic seed, and it was given to you so you could live the best and most glorious life. And the only one that can water it is you. You can use the tools. Where's Mel? You can use the tools. And I love that he said that because that's what Science of Mind is. It's the tools. It's one way for us to recognize our true nature. Peace is not out there, it is in here. Harmony is not out there, it is in here, right? Love is not out there, it is in here. And when we recognize this, we become it. Then it overfloweth and it goes out and pulls unto you everything that you need. So you do not toil. Why worry when you know who you are? And that can be very challenging in times of distress, death, war. I get it, right? We are on this planet, it's hurling through space, and we all come to classes and we take all of those layers off, all those clothes off, and we're standing there and like, yes, in your glory, and you see it. And then you walk outside and you have a flat tire. And you're like, ooh, right? And then you have to come back and realize that life is going to happen because that's what life is. It's continually showing you where you need to grow and where you need to know and when you need to connect. And then you get to stand and say, and remember the lily. And you can use that as an analogy. And you can bring that into your imagination. And the stillness opens your heart. And it invites you in. And it grounds you, and then you can move from there. And you know, when you move from there, things happen. We were driving to daycare the other day, and we put Luke, who did not want to get in his seat, in the car, and he's like, no school, no school. So if, you know, life can be hard. I have a 2-year-old at home. It's challenging, people. But we put him in the car, and he wants me to go too, so I'm in the car, Bill's in the car, and Bill puts Luke's shoes up on top of the car. So we're driving, and we get to school. Bill goes, where's Luke's shoes? I go, I don't know. Maybe they're in the back. No, they're not in the back. And then I go, Bill, did you put Luke's shoes on top of the car? So Bill goes in the daycare. They kind of laugh at us. And we get in the car, and we're driving. And I say, what's lost is found. It's never gone, and you just don't know where it's at. And we get there, and we see a shoe in the middle of the road. And so Bill stops, and I'm like, no, it's the middle of the road. And he's like, I got this. I'm like, okay. And so he picks up the shoe, and then he turns around, and like, there's the other shoe. And I'm like, of course, because all is good, right? But if we got angry and furious, which there have been moments where that has happened, but we just kind of calmed down, and we're like, and I get it, it's a shoe, but can you imagine driving along and the shoe just falls off and people are like, hold on, just lost a shoe. But you know, this is weird things of like, my daughter put her wallet on the top of her car one year and drove away. And the next morning she called and said, I lost my wallet. I go, do you want a treat for that? And she's like, what? Do you want a treat for that? What's lost is found. And so we drove back, and it took us about an hour, and we went to the mall that she was at and everything, this little outside mall, and we were driving, and I don't know, you can ask my husband, it's the truth. I'm like, stop right here. And we got out, wallets on the side of the road, everything in it. So it works, is my point, right? These are very small examples, but when you get still and you know, things flow. When you get still and you know, life moves. We are designed to move with the current of life, and thinking stops us from moving with the current of life, right? It just stops us. Now, you use thinking for math and science and work, and, don't go to work and tell your boss, I'm not thinking anymore, I'm flowing. You might not have a job, and that would be a different conversation. But it is okay to go to work and say, I'm going to be in alignment with my highest good today. I'm going to see everybody knowing that I'm going through something. They may be going through something too. I'm going to put my attitude of mental awareness on wonderful, beautiful things, because the problem is never out there, ever. There is never a problem out there. Everything resides within here, and it stems from a belief that we are always trying to prove to ourselves. It is said that when you marry either your mother or your father. I would invite you to just take a look at that, because I don't know all your spouses, but with my mother living with me, I know I've married my mother. Well, sorry, honey. But I do love my mom, and we're having a good time. And I went and bought her a whole bunch of paints, and she's painting at the table and making little painting things, and she is so happy she doesn't want to go home. But I really want to kind of give you the update on the mom thing, because I do want to say, I went home and told my mom, I said, I told a joke about you. She goes, in front of all those people? I go, they don't know you, it's okay. But we had a good laugh, and I want to tell you that, my mom is 90, and we've had a lot of disagreements in our life, and it is so beautiful to have her in my home and be able to take care of her and give back to her. And I love to make light of it, but really, she's not going to be on this planet for a whole lot longer. And so I asked Spirit to help me mend that relationship, and Spirit answered. And so she gets, is staying with us. And my dad will come over, and he'll go, oh, she's happy here. And I go, oh, she's coming home. But, it's nice for them, and it's really wonderful. And my dogs love her. And I get to come spend time with you and not worry about my pets. So see, it works. Faith in a resolution for what ails you, what burdens you, what beckons you. The answer is there. The answer is always in the universe. The question is always in your heart. And the two marry, because Spirit must answer itself. See, you are Spirit, so it can't not have an answer for itself. That would be crazy, right? That Spirit would create you without giving you a way to see what you need to move forward. I call it traveling home. Right? So this quote, this Science of Mind quote, I'll end with this, in beauty and spiritual recognition. Science of Mind says beauty is viewed as a spiritual quality reflecting the divine essence in all things. The divine essence in all things. When do we stop and contemplate the divine essence in all things? Not very often, especially this time of year. I went to Target, and there were so many people in there. It was hard for me to see the divine essence when I felt like I was being run over. But again, we stop, we retreat, we go in, and we go, I got this. I can do it. I can do it. And so the flowers in the field embodying simplicity and the natural essence and elegance symbolize the inherent beauty present in life when viewed through a spiritual lens, right? Not through the thinking lens. I talk about yellow glasses, pink glasses, and when we're having conversations, we're having them through the lens of our belief system. What you believe about yourself is what you're going to draw to show you. And then we go out again and we have that conflict. But really, if we can stop and be authentic and say, what we need in the moment, then we can understand that science of mind is a tool to help us in our mental, physical, emotional, and right human relations. It is there for you to grow and know. Concorsely, I made up a word, didn't I? Concorsely? I'm good at that. By contrast, the worldly thinking often associates beauty with external appearances, fostering a culture of comparison and competition. This attachment to superficial standards can obstruct the recognition of the profound and enduring beauty that permeates all aspects of existence. So worldly thinking often associates beauty with our physical appearance. The one thing that I know about the world and I have been taught is it's ever-changing. Yesterday I was 5 and now I'm 58. So, or I was 15. I prefer to think I'm 21. But, we live in this planet where things live, die, they rebloom, they rebirth. The one thing we know for sure, everything in the objective world will lose the thing that kind of tied it, in the physical form, right? Our bodies get older, they ail, our beauty changes, but the essence of the natural beauty of who you are never changes, ever. As long as you are alive, you have an opportunity to connect, not even connect because that's not the right word. You don't need to plug in. You don't need to connect. You already are. You need to remember. You need to remember, and then a revelation occurs, and the consciousness grows, and then the seat of the soul comes to the surface, and then it meets you where you're at, and that's the beauty. It brings you everything you need, not always what you want, right? But everything you get. It's kind of paradoxical, right? Everything that we've had up until this point has served you because it's brought you to this moment. And this moment is the only moment there is, because we look at the past, it's gone, but we can think about it. And often when we want to bring that thinking into our current moment, we're living from an old idea, and spirit is not an old idea. Spirit is a new idea, birthing every moment. And that is connection, that is flow, that is love. Today's talk invites us to release the burdens of worldly thinking and embrace the sacred trinity of love, faith, and beauty. These principles move us beyond the limitations of conditional love, doubt-ridden faith, and superficial beauty, allowing the inherent sacredness of everyday life to unfold for us. By understanding the practice and these principles and these spiritual truths, we transcend the constraints of worldly attachments, creating space for a more expansive and harmonious and deeply fulfilling experience of the sacred in our everyday life. My one desire about this talk today is to align that worry, fear. Right? Fear has its place, man. If a dinosaur is chasing you, you should run. Right? And we carry these things through our DNA. If someone is hurting you, you should run. Fear has its place. But where it's not welcomed is when we are going for something new, when we are learning to play the piano, when we're learning to run, when we're learning to jog, when we're taking a class, when we're inviting the question in, and we say, man, this is hard, this spiritual stuff. I have wanted to quit spirituality for a long time. And Thursday, I was in satsang with my group that I attend, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, not this. I want to do this. But sometimes we spend all of our time seeking and not enough knowing. Know who you are. Walk like that. Build that confidence. You are spirit, a seed planted for you in this life. And it is a magnificent life. And when your thinking tells you otherwise, stop. Think about this quote and ask yourself why you should be in fear or toil when spirit is so nearer. Woo! That near. Near, right? So near to you. It is your breath. It is you. It is your divine presence. And we need to stop the separation. And we got, right, I see two, right? We need to stop the division and come back to one. Give your lower self to your higher self and welcome that flow and welcome that no. And I know when things get tough, phone a friend. We're all in this together. We're all trying to live the sacred life. Spirit brought you here so that we can learn a new idea together. And I love you for showing up. I love you for listening. And I send you into the week. Just stop, contemplate, think about the lilies, and say, I'm here to grow, know, and flow. Namaskaram.